I'm not blind enough. How many of you who are visually impaired have said this to yourself at some point or another? Hey folks, welcome back. So I'm doing a sit down video. I just wanted to do just a quick, well, not quick, but a simpler video for today because I just wanted to talk about a topic that I wanted to address. I've addressed sporadically here and there, but I haven't really addressed it in a single video. I'm not blind enough. Like I said, if you have said this to yourself and you're visually impaired, I totally get where you're coming from. I recently did an interview for the podcast Blind Abilities, and I addressed something like this. I addressed it here and there as well during that interview.
And to think that just a few years before that, you really weren't part of the blindness community, I heard.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the whole denial phase. By the time it started going south for me, I was still in that denial phase where I'm like, I don't need like a cane. I don't need training, etc. because, well, I'm not quote unquote blind enough.
What was it like when you first went to get training?
Well, to be honest, I felt a little bit like a fraud because I was still in that whole, like, I'm not blind enough phase. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, you know what? You can't really see well at night. You can't really see well sometimes during the day. Link to it in the description or in the card in the corner of this video. But yeah, the whole not feeling blind enough is definitely something that I think a lot of us go through, and a lot of times it keeps us from doing things and just growing as people sometimes. For those of you who don't know, I've hidden my disability for a while, and it was only until like 4 or 5 years ago that I finally started talking about it. But before that, I didn't really want to talk about it at all because I just felt embarrassed, and I didn't want my disability to distract from all the filmmaking and creative stuff I was doing. And as far as getting all this blind training, like O&M, aka cane training, or Braille training, or assistive technology training, I was like, no, because you know what? I can still see. Even though I'm putting the phone a lot closer to my face, I can quote unquote still see. And it's something I kept pushing away because, I mean, I thought, well, actual blind people, they don't see anything. They're the ones who need all this stuff, not me. But then I realized that there were these hints, these signs there to remind me, and then these hints started just getting, more and more abundant. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, you know what, maybe I do need that training. Fast forward a few years later till now, and I'm totally glad that I did it. But I get it, it's such a mental barrier to just get past because disability really is stigmatized in society for the most part. And when people have this view of disability, it's a very narrow perspective where it's like, you're lesser than, or you're worthless, or you're just seen as basically not a person. And that is basically ableism. And for those of you who don't know what ableism is, that is discrimination towards the disability community, or discrimination towards someone who is disabled. And if you're someone who's disabled themselves and you're trying to make that transition to accepting your condition, those ableist beliefs might actually hinder you, because then you may develop internalized ableism. Internalized ableism is someone who has a disability who holds those ableist beliefs for themselves. A good point would be like what I was saying, that I'm not blind enough because a quote-unquote real blind person needs to use a cane. And the other dangerous part of internalized ableism is that you start second-guessing what you can or can't do. Like in my case, I have remaining vision. Like, I know my computer is sitting in front of me. I can tell that, there's a rectangular screen, but it's blurry as heck. But because I can still see those details, I sometimes think to myself, well, I mean, you're still able to see something though, right? If I'm out, well, not right now because it's, pandemic, but when I was out and if I'm crossing the street, I'm still able to look back and forth to see if there's any cars that are making turns, because I can still see the shapes of cars. But at the same time though, I keep thinking, what's that driver thinking? They're like, hey, that blind person just looked towards me, so are they really blind? So that kind of thought really stays with me sometimes. And yes, I still have those I'm not blind enough moments, but they're a lot less than what they used to be. And I really think a big reason why there's internalized ableism and just, this whole I'm not blind enough or disabled enough perspective is because I really think we are fed this image through media about what a disabled person, what a blind person should act, look, and be like. But then once you're in it, you realize, wait a second, this really is a spectrum. Blindness really is a spectrum, and no two blind people are going to see the same. And I think a lot of that misconception comes from just the fact that people who are not part of that community are making those types of judgments, those types of putting forward those types of ideas. But yeah, I mean, the thought of not being blind enough can really be a powerful one for someone who is wanting to make the transition but is hesitant in doing that. And I guess what I would say to someone who is, if you're someone who's trying to make that transition to be more accepting of your condition, is just that don't let that thought just, consume you. Because if you're registered legally blind, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because you don't have the proper visual acuity. You see 20/200 or over, or your peripheral vision, your field of vision is small enough to garner, that status of being legally blind. And there's always going to be signs that, remind you. Like, let's say you're not able to read a page with the print on it, even though the print is rather large. Or let's say that light just seems to be a little too bright for you and you need sunglasses a little more when you step out. Or maybe you can't see well at night and you're kind of basically having to kind of feel around, a little more, or use the walls as, a guide to make your way around the room, maybe. And the signs might be even more subtle than that, but still, just realize that you're going to have to do a few things in a bit of a different way. And you're also not doing this just for yourself, you're also doing this for other people. Case in point, let's use the cane as an example again. So the cane, it's for you. It's for you to get your way around, to not bump into things, to detect obstacles and things like that. But also remember, the cane is also there to tell other people that, hey, this person isn't able to see well, they might need a little more room when they're walking around, and please don't yell at me if I bump into you by mistake. And if you do, you're a jerk. But yeah, don't ever feel like you're not blind enough because you feel like you have decent vision. The human brain is very adaptive, and especially those of us who are losing our vision gradually, because we're losing it so slowly, our brain adapts rather quickly, and sometimes we don't even notice until we run into one of those signs. But also another thing to remember is it's okay if you don't want to take that step forwards in, getting training or being more accepting of your vision loss. Just to make myself clear, I'm not saying that it's okay to be in denial for the rest of your life and to never get any sort of training. I'm just stating that everyone comes to terms with their vision loss at different times in their lives, because everyone's going to have their time when they're ready. And like for me, I was told, get training, but I was like, no, not now. But other people are going to be able to do this when they're ready. At the same time though, don't wait until someone gets hurt. I wouldn't want someone, you getting hurt because you're still in that denial phase, and then you trip and fall and hurt yourself, or you run into something and hurt yourself, or even worse, hurting someone else inadvertently because of that. So yes, make that choice when you're ready, but also don't wait for something really, really bad to happen before you decide to take that step forward. So anyway, this is just me ranting at this point, but hopefully you got something out of it. Like I said, just wanted to talk about this because it's something that I should have talked about a while back. But anyway, like I said, my blind abilities interview, I'm going to post a link to the interview in the description below or in the card in the corner. Let me know your thoughts. So are you still in that kind of denial phase, or maybe you're not, but how long did it take you to finally go to that acceptance phase? Or maybe you're still kind of, in between. Let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you in the next video.